What's up, everybody? New year, same sponsors. We're talking about Elite Sports, the only apparel company that's got our merch squaring around. We're talking about ELETE sports.com. They got everything from squaring around. They also sponsor their own athletes. So if you're trying to get some custom merch for your family, you're looking for a good gift, shop EliteSports.com. Use code SQUARE at checkout to get a nice discount. Tell them the Square Boy sent you. What's up, man? Should you stop our collection too if you're trying to get like a squaring around hoodie, jacket, sweater, hat. We got all that. EliteSports.com. Use code SQUARE. One of the best things you can have is home field advantage. We have that same thing. Use code SQUARE at checkout, homefield.com. You can shop everywhere. Not really Texas State, but I guarantee you if you buy something and you bother them enough, like I've been doing in the off season, eventually, one day, like a phoenix, we shall rise. Homefield.com. Use code SQUARE at checkout.
Tired of winning the tailgate but losing the games? We can't help that. But we can tell you what the hell is up with each team and what's going on across sunny San Marcos. Texas State fans, get on your feet. You're listening to Squaring Around with Jacob Rodriguez and Andrew Zimmel.
Maybe it's just my fear of commitment, too.
Well, I'm glad we did this therapy session with you. This is good.
Yeah.
Yeah. You look good, by the way.
Thanks, dude. I did
The
a little,
shirt,
not
the
to
mustache.
steal the dude's entire routine, the TikTok guy, but I did do a little cold rollout right now on my face.
I
lot of sun
wouldn't
this
have
weekend,
noticed. I wouldn't have said anything, but your skin looks good. The shirt looks good. The background looks good. You're looking good, buddy.
And most importantly, baby, baseball got the series win over Louisiana. Something I was reminded we hadn't done in only twice in 40 years we've ever played
Yeah,
baseball.
so I went back and looked. 1984 was our first baseball season, allegedly, which does not make sense to me
19
because,
what?
84.
19 what? Oh, 84.
Which doesn't make a ton of sense to me because baseball has been around since the 1800s. They were playing it during the Civil War. So
Well,
we
you're talking
waited
about
100.
organized baseball, at the collegiate
Well,
level.
yeah, I guess, but I don't understand how this wasn't one of the first Division One teams that we had at Texas State. I that part blows my mind. So 1984, which would make it probably as old as our women's basketball program, if I'm thinking correctly. Which again, Title IX's only existed for 40 years, 50 years. So again, you think to yourself, it's probably you'd like to have beaten Louisiana more times than you have, especially considering they're both mid-major programs. Texas State's been playing baseball for a bunch of years. I like that you could spin this and say, oh, it was great to do this because, hey, third time ever. But at the same time, maybe we put that on a press release. Maybe we put that in the article. Maybe we don't put that on Twitter where we get dunked on.
I had another kind of take like this, and not to completely baseball boys out, but when we beat Texas at home, we had also beaten A&M on the road, and that was the first time we had done that since 2001. And I said, wait a minute, that's not even that impressive, low key. So I looked up
I don't know
what that record of that team in 2001 was, and they were kind of mid, 36-22, 15-11 in conference play. We, by the way, sit at 15-16 right now as we record this on Monday. We play Baylor on Tuesday. We're 6-6 in conference play.
Let me ask you, how important is that Tuesday game against Baylor to continue the streak against beating Power Four teams?
Very, but let me just let you in on a little secret here. I think Baylor's going to take this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
But hold on. A&M was the number one team in the country. Texas was the top 3 team in the country, 5 team in the country. Is Baylor better than either of those teams? Or do you think Baylor's just going to come in with a little bit more of an FU attitude?
What did Baylor play this week? Baylor baseball. Let's see.
Our cracked research team.
Our research team on crack. Baylor's 21 and
See,
10. I'm
I
scared.
think it's a winnable game.
I think so. They beat the dog shit out of us, 19-3 the last time.
Yeah, but that was last time. That was last year's team that wasn't very good.
No, they played us earlier this year. They beat the shit out of us.
Ooh, cut that.
What are you talking about? I
That's like
remember that. They beat us in the seventh inning.
I don't remember. I don't remember losing to Baylor that bad.
This
I blocked
weekend,
that out.
this weekend they lost to Houston. So coming off of a loss. Oh,
So let me ask you this:
we play them at in Waco too. So
if you could go to any other school in Texas that's not Texas State, and you had to rank them, clearly UTRGV is like number one for you.
yeah, I
But
think
like
I would pick the
the rest,
Buccaneers.
but the rest of the schools in the state, how low is Houston on that list?
Dude, if it wasn't for that basketball team, what the hell do they have?
See, I was shocked when I read online this weekend that Houston went to the men's national championship. Again, we're recording on Monday, so we don't know if they won or not. I hope they did, but
Henry, it's hot in San Antonio. It's even hotter in the swamp because for the third time in college basketball history, the Florida Gators are your national championship. You're going to see a lot of this all week long and all night long here in SA. As you can see, the party just getting started right here.
that they went to the men's championship and there was nothing, nobody cared in Houston. And then they showed me what Auburn looked like. Did not matter. Nobody cared, right? And it's like that sucks. Like I don't like
They
that.
almost
I
burned
love
Lubbock
college
to the
football. I don't like
ground
that
when
college
Tech
football
went
is
to the
taking.
Elite Eight.
Huh?
They almost burned Lubbock to the ground when Tech went to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tech was
I
in the
don't
Final Four, right?
but love it. Here's the special thing about Tech. Tech, if A&M didn't exist, Texas Tech would be considered the same way that people talk about Texas A&M. But the reason A&M exists is to make Texas Tech look a little bit better. Those individuals in Lubbock are insane. They are
Now,
crazy.
I have a question.
Yes.
You know, Colton McWilliams, the famous cowboy that he is, from West Texas.
Is he?
But yeah, he's from like Abilene, that
Does
like
that
area.
count?
I mean, it's there. So like, how come he grew up in Aggie when Tech's right there? Maybe there's a
I
personal
think he
story.
had family that went to A&M.
Mm. Yeah, yeah,
I feel
you're
like
right. He does have a
I
lot
feel
of
like that's what he's told us. But could you imagine going from Abilene to Galveston? The cultural shift that is.
because my choices were go to UTRGV or go be a Bobcat.
No, UT was on the list.
UT was not on the list. They didn't even
Really?
write me back, bro. Screw those guys.
Cool.
A&M hit me back. They capped me.
Oh,
Well,
really?
Blinn team, yeah.
Really? I think I would have been in Blindergarten too with you.
Blindergarten, yeah.
Yeah.
Was that on your list? What school do you
Blinn?
want to go to? Yeah.
No, I didn't want to go to A&M. All my high school friends went to A&M, and I was like, I'm not doing that. I was like, I'm blazing my own path.
Yeah, I came to see Texas State exactly one time before I applied, and I was like, yeah, this is pretty sick.
I came on an official visit, and I came on
Pick an official visit.
an official visit, yeah. And then I came to Cat Camp,
Coach
and then I
Z
moved in.
showing you around campus.
Huh?
Man, that would have been a great college job for you if you were one of the guys,
Nah.
the guy basketball dudes, you know,
Oh,
a body for
yeah,
the
that would have been
girls
fun.
to dribble
That would have
around.
been fun. I do. We know two people who were the people who did the tours, the campus tours. Those are special breed of people.
I fell in front of a tour group actually.
Really.
Fell right in front of them. Actually, one of
I got asked one time. They said,
my buddy, what the hell was his name? Cut that part. But one of my boys was was leading a tour right by the LBJ statue, and I had my
"Yep,
headphones in. I was walking up to Old Main, so it's right by those stairs in front of Flowers. And my boy was like, "Yo, by the way, there's the editor in chief of the University Star." The crowd went wild. I was like, "Hey, thank you guys." Looking back over my shoulder, I'm like, "Yeah, take that first step." Boom. Eight.
I saw a woman who's now married, so I'm not going to give her name away,
Whoa.
but she was giving a tour, and I told the
That's
kids,
when
I was
you
like,
stop disrespecting people online when they
yeah,
get married.
yeah. I think that's a fair like cutoff.
That's
I
funny
think
though that that's your thing.
I'm not going to disrespect a woman who's married. She,
No, otherwise her
not
husband will have to challenge you to a
she's an
duel.
honest woman now. All right, but she was very attractive, and I told the tour that I said, "You guys have the most attractive of these people," and they
Wow.
said, "Really?" I was like, "Yeah."
You've always been a
So I
little
don't know if that
bold and beautiful, huh?
you got to. Sometimes you got to put shots up. Didn't go anywhere, but yeah, shout out.
Tell you what is going somewhere, Andrew, in a hurry. The announcement of revenue sharing, which is what we're talking to about Don Coryell, amongst other things.
Was this the cold open?
Probably probably your most requested stuff to date. Anything that was weighing heavy on your hearts, we're talking to Don about.
Everything you keep tweeting dumbassedly about online. That's what we're talking about today. Some of you guys need to have your Twitter privileges revoked. Like this is getting to be an insane level
Some of you
of
need to be around your family more often.
yeah.
Your kids are
Like
looking around wondering, Papa, donde
I'm gonna
está?
let's hear from Don, and then I have takes.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Squarin Around. This is the show where we talk about everything happening at Texas State. This week, we're joined by Texas State Athletics Director Don Coryell, talking about, well, Don, I guess your entire job as the athletics director is to make sure that Texas State has a competitive advantage. A few weeks ago, you sent out like a letter talking about rev sharing in the future, and just like different things coming down the pike that could make Texas State more competitive in the future.
Yep.
How have things like advanced since then?
Quickly, we're all watching this House settlement, which may settle this week, which is going to be a whole new world for college athletics, whole new world for administrators and our coaches. But kind of like everything else, we want to do it at a very high level, and so we're going to invest, heavily into it. We want to continue to give. I feel like we've done a really good job of this over the past couple of years. Trying to give our coaches every competitive advantage we can so they can have success. And so, yeah, we're gonna jump right into this. Again, I think we're gonna do it at a level that's going to allow us to win a lot of championships.
All right, follow-up question. Your favorite type of soup?
Favorite type of soup? I like all soup, fellas. I'm a big soup guy. I will tell you I'll give a shout out to my guys from Beaumont. Being a Beaumont guy here, Jason's Deli, broccoli cheddar. Jason's Deli, founded in Beaumont. Not sure if you knew that. Torres family, great family. So I'll go broccoli cheddar, Jason's Deli. Thanks for asking.
I'm good because this leads me into the next thing. If you had to compare the Sun Belt to a type of soup, what type of soup would it be?
The Sun Belt?
Yeah.
Oh man, I wasn't expecting this question.
That's why they pay me the big bucks, Don. That's
Sun
why they call
Belt,
me Capital J journalist over here.
What's a soup with kind of everything in it? What's a good soup that has just a mix of a lot of different things? Because we're obviously a league that's spread out between multi-states, a lot of different institutions. A strong soup, I would say.
What you're describing is gumbo.
Gumbo. Let's go. You know what? That's a great. There you go. Let's go gumbo. I like that. Thanks for answering that.
I was
going
gonna say
for
like
me.
17 bean soup or something like that.
I guess, sure.
I guess it'd be 14 with how many teams are in the Sun Belt. I don't know. I'm a big tomato basil guy.
Gumbo's a good one. I would say gumbo is a perfect analogy for that.
So you talked about everything coming down the pike fast, and I could not agree more with you. And it feels like every single time you get your footing, there's something new that is happening here. So yeah. I want to take me through the thought process from when you took the job to now. Are you shocked how quickly things have happened? Did you expect it to happen this quickly? What is going through your mind?
Oh man, some of the changes come at you really quickly, and you gotta transition as fast as you can. Now the settlement, we've been able to plan for that for a while now, so this isn't a surprise. This is something we've been working on for a long time, a year or so, at least. The transfer portal again was pretty quickly, and then some of the changes within that. We start talking about some of the JUCO rules and things like that, and some of the other things that are going on around the country. But yeah, it has been. I mean, this is the past like 3 or 4 years we're doing things in college athletics that we've never done before. And so, there's not necessarily a roadmap to follow. And so, yeah, it requires a lot of planning, a lot of diligence. You try to be as forward thinking as you can. Sometimes that's a challenge just because the space we're in. But I think particularly with the house settlement, everybody knew that this was most likely coming, and most of us had planned for it, I believe.
All anybody wants to talk about is a potential move in conference, though, because we get blasted on our YouTube comments every day, So I know there's only so much that you and Kelly can like publicly say about it. But is there anything that you can say about it now?
But what would you say privately about it? Let's start there.
Maybe not
Oh,
privately because this
oh,
is a
oh,
podcast.
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we're like everybody else, right? You're following what's going on around the country and keeping an eye on everything. If we're not doing that, we're not doing our job. But we spend a tremendous amount of time doing all we can to win championships in the Sun Belt. And so that's what we're focusing on right now. How do we finish out this semester strong? How do we continue to perform well in the Sun Belt? That's where our focus is right now.
There you go. I like that answer. I'm so sick and tired of talking about this, and I hate that Jacob does this thing that I like because we're friends and we're co-hosts, where he moves the goalpost. Okay, and a lot of the people online will move the goalpost. They go, "Oh, big news happening at midnight on the 15th," and then it's like 15th comes and goes. It's like, well, actually, it was the 31st the whole time. So let me ask you, from an AD standpoint, do you just shut that off? Do you just not look at social media? You don't care about it? Like,
No,
does that bother you as somebody who knows what's happening, that other people who don't say stuff?
No, it doesn't bother me. I do pay attention to that. I do look at it. I think that's part of my job too, just to kind of be aware of what's out there, whether it's factual or not factual. But it's interesting. I'd say one of the things that I do appreciate is I feel like anytime we're talked about, that just gets our brand out there a little bit more. Regardless of whether or not there's anything behind what's being discussed. So I love the fact that I feel like we're getting a lot of play as Texas State and what we're trying to do and push our brand out across the country. And that's kind of the goal of everything we do, right? We want to try to help Texas State University elevate, try to get it out there so we can help increase enrollment. And, if people are talking about us, it's usually a pretty good thing.
Is the dorm people saying stop it? Because the enrollment every year is getting bigger and bigger, and we don't have places to put these guys.
We're building dorms. It's a challenge for housing. They work their tails off. We got a great student success department who I love. They help us out so much, trying to drive the students on campus to our events. But yeah, they've got their hands full, but they're great planners too. And Cynthia Hernandez, who's the vice president over there, she's got a really strong background, in my opinion, and also I think understands the importance of athletics. And so, the more students that are coming on campus, ideally for us, that's more people that are coming to games, and they really help in that space.
The men's national. Okay, Jacob, go.
I was just saying, I was wondering if me and Zimmel had actually shared a dorm freshman year, would we be better or worse friends? I don't know. I really didn't like Andrew for the first 2 years I knew him. So then we became...
Hey, listen,
it may have been better. It took you 2 years. You could have figured all that out in like a week, and then you'd like him after a week.
That's true. Maybe those
I wouldn't trade my freshman dorm Ernesto Santos for anything in the world. I loved Ernesto. All right. Men's national championship is tonight.
Yeah.
And I think of all of the Texas State sports, men's basketball has gotten talked about the most. When you look at the success of Texas State men's basketball, how do you feel? Where are we at right now?
It's not where we want it. I think we're all in agreement with that right now. Injuries are never an excuse, but I can talk about the past 2 years and how many injuries we've had. And it has been a challenge. I did think, when we got through basically like the first month and a half in the season, we had the top net in the league. I mean, we just came off that great Myrtle Beach Classic, beat some really strong teams. Injuries hit us hard, and unfortunately just weren't able to recover. I thought we were going to have a chance going into the tournament the way we kind of finished out those last four at home. I think we won 3 out of 4 against two of the teams that were in first place. So, I'm disappointed because I really did think that we had the talent to do more, and just didn't. So yeah, man, it's my job to make sure that gets better. Coach Johnson and I are working on a plan. A lot of it has to do with this new space and revenue share and licensing agreements with our student athletes. So we think we're going to be able to provide a good base for him that's going to allow him to function at a higher level in terms of some of the recruiting that we're doing. So yeah, man, we have to put the emphasis on men's basketball like we did with football a couple years ago. We think that made a difference. We've got to make it a priority. It's just not where we want it to be.
I was going to say that because we talked to former athletes at Texas State, how they remember that like 2017 to 2018 window, 2019 window of just filling Strand Coliseum,
Yeah.
filling the stadium. And it's like, how do you recreate that? Then you see what Calvin Sampson has done at Houston. Now, obviously, Houston, Power 4 team, Texas State mid-major, but I think there's a blueprint to kind of a quick turnaround for men's basketball.
Yeah, I think there is too. It's a sport where if you can operate well in the transfer portal, just based on the numbers of guys that contribute, right? That you're going to be able to do some things quickly if you can get the right players. I thought I love Tylen Pope this year. I thought he was one of the best players in the league. So I thought we did well there. It would have been great if we could hung on to a couple of guys that we did lose in the portal last year. But yeah, there's things we can do better. And I will say, you kind of talk about this great crowds. One thing we're going to focus in on this capital campaign that we're doing is our men's and women's basketball season ticket base, right? Because what we get is when we have these great crowds, it's predominantly students, right? It's probably 80% students. We've really got to sell more season tickets for these programs. So we've got this base that we can count on, every week for these games. I think we've got that in football now. And we've gotten over the hump there, and I think it's been a really nice thing just to be able to rely on those fans that are going to be there. We need the same thing for our men's and women's basketball program, so we've got to put a big emphasis on that. That's a game changer when you're talking about recruiting. When you're talking about people who are watching your games and recruits that come in. They want to play in front of people, right? And so we've got to increase that base, and so again, man, just focusing more on what we're trying to do with those two programs is really important.
Well, it's tough, I'm sure, as a basketball guy too. You played at Lamar, so you're seeing the product every day, and you're like, oh, you probably feel extremely close to it. I'm sure as the athletics director.
Yeah, sure.
And then you look at like the comparison of products. Me and Andrew always talk about those teams in 2017, 2018. But that was also, as a lot of people remember, when the football product wasn't that good. So it's kind of
Yeah.
like the ebbs and flows of things. And
Yeah,
I
it is.
just, yeah.
We got to figure it out where they're all operating at a high level. I mean, that's what we've got to do. But yeah, it's something that obviously I'm really close to. I feel like I've got a good eye for it, and I believe in Coach Johnson and what he's trying to do. Again, I don't think it was a talent thing. I think if we kept our team completely healthy this year, we're probably having a different conversation. I would say the same thing for the previous year. So anyway, difficult situation, but we're going to work to improve it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we got a big weekend coming up too with the spring game. What are you
Yeah.
most excited? You've probably seen the team actually more than me and Andrew because we're not
You
at.
know, we have so many new guys. I'm excited, hopefully, to see them with jerseys on there, with numbers on their jerseys, which we don't have at practice right now, and make it a little bit easier for all of us. Because you're talking about so many new players, but I'm just excited to see how we progressed over the past few weeks, right? Since we've started spring ball. Excited to see the competition. It's always fun, just to see people that we haven't seen since football season 2 who come out and support that game. So it's a festive deal. Going to be fun for our student athletes. First time for some of us to get out there and see a lot of these new players. So just kind of want to see how they perform in front of some fans.
Well, I'll take you behind the curtain here a little bit for the people listening at home. Every former athlete we've had on has said that you do a good job of recognizing their name and like shaking their hands and stuff like that. So whatever you're doing when it comes to name and face and putting it all together, you're doing the right thing. I don't know, because some of us struggle with introductions and remembering who people are.
Well, I try my best, but it's not anything I've really got to learn. I will say this 100 times over. Appreciate everybody who does anything for Texas State athletics, whether you're a donor or you're not. You're showing up for events. You're interacting with us on social media. Whatever it is to help us is important to us.
Even if you're a Pac-12 account that keeps tweeting at us every single day.
That's between you guys, but I mean, and I will say the athletic alumni, and I feel this way because I was an athletic alumni at one point at another institution. They put in a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. You hear it, right? But I love the fact that our alumni are really active about coming back and staying involved with the sports that they participated in. And I think that's really important. That's kind of low-hanging fruit for us, in my opinion. If we can't, one of the things I talk about in our recruiting business with our student athletes is I want you to have a great experience here. And part of the reason I want you to have a great experience here is because I want you to come back. If you don't have that great experience, you're not going to come back when you're done. You're going to go back home to wherever you're from. You're going to say, hey, Texas State was okay. And so for me, it's really important that we provide that high level of experience for those student athletes so they come back and stay involved.
I want to talk construction updates. Is everything around the stadium going to be finished before the first game of the year?
Yeah, it will be finished for the first game of the year. Yes. We're expecting everything to be done mid-May now, with the Johnny and Natalie Wiseman Football Performance Center. If you go over there right now, I'd say 80% of it is complete. Really, what they're focusing in on right now is the team meeting space, which was previously the old weight room. So a lot of that is complete now. If you guys are at the game on Saturday, I'd be happy to walk you around and show you some of the new stuff. But
VIP
Hell
club.
yeah,
yeah,
brother. Take me
yeah,
on
man.
that tour.
Hey, it's beautiful. We're excited about it. And should be open soon. We're going to do a ribbon cutting. We think the Wednesday we're looking at probably before the first home football game with the Wiseman family and Bo Trevelyan and his wife. So yeah, excited to get that thing opened up, and it's going to be a beautiful, showpiece, and it's already been great for recruiting for us. The weight room's open right now, and it's awesome.
Yeah, that's amazing. Um, I know there's like a huge like people want us to have an indoor like closed practice area.
Yeah,
Has there
yeah.
been any headway
Yeah,
made
there,
on
yeah,
that?
there has. I'd say more progress right now on the baseball and softball front. With the project that we want to do there, we're actually going to try to start programming. Hopefully any day now. We're working with our facility and design department on campus right now for that. So I would expect some news from the baseball softball front here pretty soon. How we proceed with that project is still going to be determined on how much we can fundraise. But we feel like we're in a good position to start that programming and hopefully get an architect in here and start design, and then select a contractor once we get approval from our board of regents. But feel good there. And then yeah, the indoor facility, and I'll say multi-use facility, is absolutely something that we're looking at. Absolutely something that we expect to get done. So it's on our radar. It's our next project after baseball and softball, and it's going to be important. And that is something that we do plan to do.
Those renderings for the baseball softball complex were incredibly impressive. I'll put them up in post editing.
Yeah,
As a certified baseball boy, I
there we
need.
go, man. Hey, you've been waiting to flip that thing around. I wondered what it was. I
Yeah.
like it. I like it.
Yeah, yeah, he says.
It was
Yeah.
pit. It was
Gotta have.
it was pitch Marcus over the past week, not slam Marcus. It was pitch
Sure.
Marcus.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, that's the problem when you gear yourself to home run hitting, that you get your pitching staff. Now they have to be, Maddox and, small. They just turn into a great pitching staff.
Yeah, they did a great job over. I'd really say almost over the past 3 weeks. Since that Arkansas State series. I think we figured out our Friday and Saturday guy. They've been tremendous, in my opinion. Obviously did a really great job yesterday on Sunday. So yeah, man, I think we're pitching at a high level. And I think the past week was great for our baseball program. And
Yeah.
and if I don't mention softball, come over here and slap me upside the head, because Coach Woodard and her crew playing again at a super high level. They're top. I think they're 46 right now in the NCAA RPI rankings, which in my opinion, you're right on the verge of an at-large right there, playing at a super high level. Tied for second. I think we're a game back, and she lost so many seniors last year, so I think this is one of her most impressive coaching jobs that she's doing right now. She's doing a great
Wow.
job.
Okay. That's saying something, because she's had some pretty high watermarks.
Yeah, again, I kind of laughed with Sean Hewitt about this with the volleyball team this year. At one point, I think Sean and I talked about, man, is this a rebuild? Well, it may be a rebuild. And then, he went to the conference tournament and goes to the NCAA tournament again. Coach Woodard and I have had similar conversations where, we got so many new players. It's going to be a rebuild. And as of right now, it's not. Right now, it's a championship contender team. So
We don't rebuild, we reload here,
that's it,
Don.
man.
We
That's it.
reload.
No, she did a great job with it.
We talk about so many people who love, Texas State. Karen Chisholm obviously was the GOAT for forever, and now Coach Woodard is like probably the winningest coach on your like team of coaches, right?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
So I don't know. That must be incredible just to surround yourself with that like winning mindset, because everybody's kind of rowing in the same direction, hopefully.
Yeah, she's got a really strong culture, and it's we probably take it for granted a little bit that you can just count on her with what she's going to do with our program, because it's not easy. It's not easy. We played South Alabama over the weekend, and I think they're down a little bit, because I would say they probably are in a little bit of a rebuild, but they've had some really strong seasons, and then you look at us, who are probably in a similar situation, but again, like you said, we reloaded and playing at a really high level. We'll see where it ends up, but we're gonna have a chance at this thing.
We asked all the questions the internet wants to hear, so that's like half the battle.
All
That's what
right.
I wanted to make sure we got done.
Good battle won then. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Well, appreciate you guys, man. Thanks for covering us. Thanks for asking me on, and hopefully I'll see you guys Friday. Take me up on that offer. Come find me on I'm not Friday, Saturday. Come find me. Well, find me on Friday at the Southern Miss game too, because I know you guys may be there. But come find me on Saturday. I'd love to show you around the new construction.
Great. And I know Jacob always has a camera, so get ready to get exposed.
Ready to go. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Sounds good.
Hey, maybe actually, here's what you should do: wear some athletic wear, and we can lift some weights for Jacob because he loves watching guys lift weights.
I'll get back there too. I'm in shape. I just
I'm not, so I'm the wrong guy to watch. We'll find somebody else to lift weights. I'll supervise.
Thanks, Don.
All right, guys. Appreciate the time.
See you.
All right. See you guys.
So here's the deal. So first off, he didn't say we were staying in the Sun Belt. He didn't say we're going to the Pac-12. He is a very bad poker player. We would have known if we were going to the Pac-12. That's where I'm going to start things off. Like, because the times that we have had like information out of him that we've gotten out of him, we have gotten it out. Like, we know what we can read his face. We can tell. I don't think we're going to the Pac-12, Jakey. Unless he got really good at poker, I don't think we're going to the Pac-12.
No, and that was also the subject of my most recent newsletter as well, because people over the weekend I guess, when was it? Friday, Thursday, something like that, right?
Yeah, Thursday.
It was like midweek last week where Kelly was in DC and he tweeted this thing about soup. I'll insert that now, but hashtag subscribe to the newsletter if you want some exclusivo Jakey content. And so I break down this like newsletter announcement. Andrew and I have a group text with the president. So Andrew put the text in and we start talking about it. Let me just say, I guess for all intents and purposes, let's say Kelly is not just talking about soup, right? Then we can all infer from that tweet that conversations or negotiations with the Pac-12 have hit a stalemate, and or Texas State was offered a not whole share, either a half or a partial. We're talking about 3/4 of a share or whatever of the media rights deal that has yet to be announced publicly, but a lot of people are theorizing that this is like going on in the background.
And I'm going to be honest here. The odds that Texas State is the thing that's holding up a media rights deal is the funniest thing in the world to me. This is like Veep levels of comedy. Like, what do you mean that Texas State, the school that had won 6 games over 4 years, are the thing that is holding up a media rights deal?
Darling of the football/athletics world.
And then you also, I think for Don and Kelly, you're thinking to yourself, okay, is this as good as it's going to get? Like, are we selling at the right time? Because there's a world where Texas State goes 5 wins next year, and all of a sudden a lot of that air comes out of those sales.
Dude, okay, so in the newsletter, I don't want to spoil it if you're not subscribed to it. If you are subscribed to it, I love you so much. This is my inner workings of my mind at play. But
Yeah,
I talk about the advice that my therapist gave me about the dating world and how you don't want to, like, if somebody passes on you on the first chance, then like, they're probably not worth your time or the money,
Let's talk about Jacob going to counseling about relationships and drinking. That's the neon sign here. Relationships and drinking. He's going to his therapist about.
And as she's talking to me about this stuff, I'm like, wait a minute. This is a great.
How does this affect Texas State?
This is a great metaphor for Texas State and conference realignment.
That's insane. This is why the therapy's really sticking, folks.
Yeah,
it's really.
You got to find models in real life that you can model.
You should model me.
What?
I'm a great. You model your life after my life.
What do you got? What do you got going?
I'm a great guy. I got a lot of love in my heart, and I'm not going to therapy about drinking and out relationships.
This goes back to my earlier conversation with you that I have to cut completely from the podcast because it was so bad. But basically, if you have a partner, would you rather be more into them or them more into you? And I think if we're talking about conference realignment stuff, you want the conference to be chasing you. You don't want it to be the other way around and be like, we want to be with you, we want to be with you.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, because 9 times out of 10, you don't get that invite. If you're the thirsty school trying to get into the conference, you don't get in.
They can smell the desperation on you,
Yeah. Like, I would say of the realignment, SMU wanted to get out of their conference and go to an actual conference in the ACC. So it made sense for them to like, all right, hey, we're going. Stanford kind of got stuck being in the ACC. Like, I don't think they wanted to be in the ACC. I think they got stuck. because they had to join a Power Four conference. I think that's the difference. You know what I mean? So for Texas State, well, you're happy in your mid-major conference. You also have to consider the Mike Craven of the whole thing, where because I'm putting his name on it, where he says that the college football is splitting between Group of Five and Power Four, and there's going to be a huge divide in essentially two separate conferences entirely, or two different sports entirely. If you're Texas State, Sunbelt is firmly in that Group of Five. So are you looking at it going like we could be the North Dakota State of the Group of Five? We could be the school that's winning the national championship at the Group of Five level every single year? Or are you put the blinders up and you don't believe in the Cravenism of the whole thing? You know?
I think if I was a Texas State like marketing person, like working for them, I would be like, we have to get out of the Sun Belt because it makes sense from a branding perspective. Like we've been fortunate actually that the last two bowl games that we went to were against Texas teams. But if let's say we go on an incredible run in the Sun Belt, the only really like time that we're getting a lot of like national fodder is for that UTSA win. That's like when we get the most views on our stuff. That's like when we get the most clicks on all of literally our podcast stuff too. I don't know. Because if
Well,
we're playing
if we
schools against
played,
Louisiana and stuff, you know?
let's say this great Texas State run, undefeated season, and you're playing Clemson as the 12 seed. You don't think we're getting a bunch of clicks on our stuff?
No, because of how good the Texas Longhorns are right now.
Okay. So I think we would get more clicks if we were
Maybe.
a college football playoff contention team or a New Year's Six bowl contention team.
Yeah,
And
maybe.
you don't do that if you are in a better conference. You don't win those games. You're going to be middle of the pack if you're
That's
having to
true.
play. And here's the other part. I still have my brain set on old Pac-12 with UCLA and USC. And in that conference, Texas State's a bottom feeder of a bottom feeder. But in the new Pac-12, they might compete. I don't know. Maybe. Like, I don't know how much better New Mexico State or Boise State or any of those schools are compared to Louisiana and Troy. Because I look at those two teams as the best teams in the conference and Southern Miss this year.
No.
I don't know if the top four teams in our conference, the Sun Belt, are currently better than the top four teams in the Pac-12. But let's say they are. Okay, well, then Texas State has a chance. But if they aren't and we can't beat those guys, what makes you think going to Spokane is going to make it any better?
We talked about like moving the goalposts and stuff with Don. I saw on the internet, Big Thad tweeted something that was like, if ESPN comes out and says the Pac-12 is a Power Four conference, then it is, or something. And I was like, what is this? Beauty in the eye of the beholder? Like, it's all based on perspective of everybody else, basically. Like the Big 12 is the Big 12 because of all
Based
the
on
money
money.
and because of like how what everybody thinks that those teams are. In my opinion, the Pac-12 teams, at least from football, like I mean, I don't think any of those teams are really doing anything.
Uh, the money has to be right. And I don't know if there will be money in those teams. I don't know advertising dollars. I don't know the video streaming dollars. And the other part is, okay, if the Pac-12 gets a contract that's not ESPN Plus, I personally will be very upset because I like having all of the Sunbelt schools on ESPN Plus. I
Well,
think
they're
that helps
cheap
the
too.
conference. I think that's good. Huh?
What a cheap too. It's $11. I can watch as much
Well,
baseball as I want now.
and let's say like I don't like Apple TV is not getting the Pac-12. You know what I mean? Like Amazon Prime probably isn't going for Pac-12, the current iteration of
Anymore.
Pac-12. Huh?
Anymore. Because that
Well,
was
yeah,
originally the first deal.
yeah. Like I don't see. So it's going to be like a FUBU. It's going to be like
They've talked about a multi like tiered thing
which
too.
I think is worse. I think it's a bad idea. And Mr. TV Boy, you can explain why it's a bad idea.
Well, it's just like if you split all of your views across three different things, you're just like giving people less. You have to make it easy for people to watch things, basically, you know? ESPN Plus is pretty easy to watch things,
I would say
even if they play the same commercial
YouTube
during the
TV would
breaks.
probably be the best option.
Yeah, but that's just an ESPN deal, no? Because like
No, like if YouTube and Google bought the streaming rights and it was just on all the games were on YouTube, I think that would be the best way to do it.
Yeah, expensive though. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, you could do it for free.
I like HBO stuff honestly because it's free for me right now. I'm not free.
Well,
I'm
what
paid.
I'm saying is the way that this would work is it wouldn't be like a YouTube TV exclusive. It would be the games are on YouTube and they're YouTube selling the ad space and they're doing everything. And then when you open up Google or YouTube, it's like on a Saturday, hey, Texas State and, San Jose State are playing. Okay, great. The other part is these games are going to be late. And I hope you people are happy with an 8 p.m. kickoff in
Yeah,
San Marcos
was it
because
worth
that's
it?
going to suck.
Was it
Huh?
worth it? Was it worth it? I don't know.
Not
I
for
don't know if
Chad and
late night
Brad who are
games are good
not
for
for
us.
Chad Brad who are like pre-gaming.
Yeah, guys that pregame at 8 in the morning, they're there for 12 hours in the parking lot.
No kidding. Like I'm not. Yeah, that's not a joke. That'd be tough.
That's tough. Yeah, I don't know. I don't
So
know.
look, I have been anti Pac-12 this entire time. If we go, we go. If we don't, we don't. From Don's point of view, I don't see it. So we talked to Don about basketball, Jakey, and I asked that question with the hope that he would give me that answer, that it was all injuries and that they're going to look into it more. Because if I'm a trainer, you're on notice. You need to figure it out. What is going on? Why do we have all these injuries?
Dude, and I almost wanted to be like, why does this happen all the time to this team specifically? Because you don't hear about it to the best athletes on campus, volleyball, softball, track and field.
That's a really good point. The volleyball point's really good because it's not the
It
same
is.
physicality, but it's a lot of the same physicality.
They're on the same
And
court, right?
when you look at like because the famous stat is that women athletes in their sophomore season of college, the odds of them tearing their ACL are the highest that they're going to be in their collegiate careers.
Really?
Yeah, whether that and it's just I don't know if the physicality of it, whether that be bodies maturing and changing or what the deal is, but female athletes, their sophomore season, the odds of them tearing their ACL are like the highest it's going to be, right? We see more sophomores in college or redshirt freshmen in college who tear their ACL more than like any other sport. Okay. Why does that not happen in Texas State? And why is it like why are the female athletes at Texas State pretty healthy, all things considered? And maybe we talk to Sean Hewitt, maybe we talk to Coach Z at some point about that.
Well,
Like,
throw
hey,
throw away women's basketball this year specifically for this analogy because they did have a lot of injuries.
but they did not like the injuries basketball has. Like basketball has like soft tissue injuries constantly.
Yeah, those guys
Like,
couldn't even get out of the summer 2 years ago healthy. And it was like,
yeah.
wait, what did you do in the off season? What are you doing?
And you wonder, is it like a training part of it or like what the deal is? But then you also say, okay, well, we need to get a capital campaign to like fill out the stadium. And I can tell you, the season tickets for Texas State's football team did not jump because we did a capital campaign. They jumped because the team was good. So like
Yeah.
put a good team on the court, and I guarantee you those tickets are going to start selling. And I look at college basketball, and it's very easy to put up your blinders and after the first round of the March Madness tournament, first round of the NCAA tournament, to look at the 16 seeds and the 14 seeds, and they all get run off the court. But I look at those mid-major teams, and it's like, okay, yeah, Gonzaga doesn't have a football team. Xavier doesn't. Villanova doesn't have these like teams that cost a lot of money, so their donors give money to the basketball program. UConn the same way, but Texas State should be more competitive. The teams in the Sun Belt should be more competitive than they are when it comes to these tournaments. Like Georgia State, I think was the last team that got out of the first round. That's unacceptable. Like what are we doing? It does
Dude,
not cost a lot of money to put a basketball team on the court.
Guys are so small. That's my biggest point of contention is that I think I could be on a damn Sunbelt team.
Yeah, maybe.
And so,
By the way,
I don't
your
know
boy
if you,
Trump.
I don't know if you felt this way when you were watching Houston's game this weekend, but I was like, the caliber of basketball that they're playing right now is leaps and bounds and galaxies away from what we're
The
watching in San
team
Marcos.
that's playing for a national championship is leaps and bounds better than Texas State. That's a
Yes.
bold take.
But even them in 2016, when Kelvin Sampson first got to Houston, was leaps and bounds ahead of Texas State.
That's fair. And that's the other part that kind of irks me is that we've seen these mid-majors. Now, Houston's not a mid-major now. Now they're in the Big 12. But
Yeah.
we see these schools that are
But they
in
were
mid-major.
once one.
Yeah. we see teams that are in mid-major conferences that are able to put a team on the court and like make them good. And I don't. It's weird because I talk to the guys down here because we both live in San Antonio. I talk to the guys down here about UTSA, and they always blame the arena and they blame that they can't keep a head coach. And now those are like the two big points of contention. And then now the third is that they don't have any money. But those other two parts pre-NIL were like the big reasons that they couldn't put a winning.
It's like a string of excuses, you know? It's like, oh, well, we don't have enough fans going to our thing. Oh, we have a lot of injuries. Oh, we need more money. Like, what are you talking about?
But I always say, like, if you gave a blank check to basketball, how many years in a row would you have to give that blank check to make them a competitive team? And I don't know.
A lot. You might need an entire class at this point.
I don't know. And the frustrating part too is that Terrence is a really good coach. Like Terrence Johnson's a really good like recruiter. And I don't know if there's not player development or player strength and conditioning. I don't know what the problem is at this point.
A lot of it is due to the transfer portal. We talked about like all of these like really good people who had left the program. Caleb Asbury went to Oklahoma State. We're able to keep like some pieces, but not like, I don't know. You know, we're not competitive at all.
Is that the team that has gotten hit the worst from the transfer portal? Do you think?
Probably. I mean, they lost like 4 dudes in the portal that were in their starting 5
from last year's team.
Yeah, from last year's team. Also, Mean Green's in the portal.
I don't know. I do want to say this, that Jacob, what you voted for came to fruition. You voted for Trump to cut back on immigrants, and then they tried to deport the starting center for Duke minutes before tip-off.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Marco Rubio.
Or are you making that up?
No, Marco Rubio, right before tip-off, was like, we're revoking the visas of South Sudanese individuals. So
that dude's really good, too.
Not good enough. Didn't get any rebounds.
I didn't know.
7'2".
I don't even know. That Duke game was insane. I'm so glad I got to see that on TV. And the whole time that I was on a date slash in Austin, I was like, damn, I could have gotten credentials to see this shit live.
Yeah. Anything else we're missing? Spring game this weekend. We're going to be there. We'll cover it.
Yeah, spring game this weekend on Saturday at noon. If you see me and Andy there, say what's up. We'll be out there all day pretty much. We'll be out there freaking 2 days pretty much.
See, that's why I was going to say, I was like, this is this tip of thing. And when you text me it's noon on Saturday, I was like,
yeah. You want to carpool to that actually? You want to go
spring game?
One day? Yeah.
Yeah, we can. I for sure we can carpool to the spring game. Our thing, when do you talk? You talk after me or before me?
Talk at 3.
Yeah, that's
dude, it's not my fault. That's that lady.
That's crazy. And the crazy thing is too is that there's nothing going. It's a Friday in San Marcos, so nobody that we want to see is there.
Go see baseball.
What time do they play? They play like 5.
6.
Yeah, there's no way I'm sticking around for baseball.
It's your favorite night. It's going to be River State night.
I promise you I'm not there for that. That's crazy. All right. Good luck. That's all I got to say. Good luck. All right.
Yeah. Appreciate you, Don, coming on the show.
Yeah, appreciate Don. We didn't ask him his favorite Val Kilmer movie. I rewatched Tombstone this past weekend. I also saw LA Confidential, and this is a good thing we can end the podcast on. So I watched Glengarry Glen Ross mostly because I was thinking about you and Bill Burr, and you went to see. Now, what character did Bill Burr play? He played Ed Helms' character, right?
What does he play? What's his name?
I forget the name. Ed Helms.
Playbill right here.
Signed too. Nice.
By 1 billion Burr.
Who's the other signature?
It's the dude that he rips off the money.
So let me. I was going to ask you. So what did Bill Burr's character do in this movie, or in this?
He freaked the hell out most of the time.
He's the one that didn't rob the place, right?
No, he did not rob the place.
Got you. Yeah, so that was Ed Helms, I think.
Where does he play it? Oh, here we go. Yeah, Dave Moss. Who's that in the movie? Because the movie and the play are actually very different.
It is. It's Ed Harris. I'm sorry. Ed Harris was was the character that he played.
And I
Who
actually
was
forgot that the movie and the
Shelley?
play were very
Huh?
different. Shelley Levine was Bob Odenkirk.
And then Richard Roma?
That was Kieran.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, but Richard Roma's entire character in that thing is super different.
Really?
Yeah, Al Pacino.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't. He didn't. It's completely different. The play is
Right.
super different than the movie.
Hmm.
It even
Okay.
ends different, actually.
How's it end?
Can't tell you, bro.
Why not?
I'm gonna spoil a play on the internet.
Yeah, 100%.
Nah, bro. I traveled to freaking New York and had to sleep in the DFW airport for that experience. I'm not gonna just give that out.
Wow. All right.
If
So I
you're
have to
curious,
Google it
read the
later.
book.
I have to Google it later. Got it. Okay.
Yeah. It's
Anyway, so
a
I
good movie,
watched
though.
that, rewatched that movie.
I own that movie.
I rewatched that movie this weekend, and there's one Kevin Spacey in it. And I didn't realize that Kevin Spacey was in that movie until it started. So I watched it, and then I watched LA Confidential, which also has Kevin Spacey. And I'm wondering, at what point do we edit him out? Are we just like, because I mean, those movies are really good.
He's just in them, honestly.
You just dead them. Well, you own Glengarry Glen Ross, so you're just never gonna watch it again.
Yeah, I mean, but I bought it before he did all that stuff.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
I did.
When did you buy that movie?
I bought this movie when I was still in high school.
Really?
Yeah, I was a theater kid, bro.
So it's just dead.
I mean, I watch it from time to time.
Oh, okay, okay,
My
okay.
Kevin Spacey didn't do that.
That's crazy.
But he
All right,
in that movie he plays the boss, right? I'm pretty sure.
John Williams. Yeah, he's the guy that catches the guy.
He catches. Yeah.
Well, he does. Like he catches him. He's like, "This is truth, though. That if you do something stupid, keep your mouth shut."
Goodfellas.
I was
Never
on
rat
a
on your friends and always keep your mouth shut.
I was on a twist deal because that movie has or that play has a twist, and then LA Confidential has a twist. So
How would you know? You don't even have you've never seen the play.
I'm talking about the movie that most people have seen.
Yeah, I know, but you said that play has a twist.
I imagine it does. Am I wrong? That there's no twist in the play?
Maybe.
They play it straight?
Yeah. There's just like, oh, it's just a big misunderstanding.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Okay.
Well, let's all be friends.
This guy.
This is what happens when we're not allowed to spring practice, by the way. We're talking about Broadway theater production.
I'm just saying, I thought it was a good. I don't know. I'm not going to rewatch LA Confidential. I probably won't rewatch Glengarry Glen Ross. I probably won't rewatch The Usual Suspects. But I'm just saying, like, if I'm watching a movie for the first time and there's like a guy who's obviously a scumbag in it, like, should I just not watch the movie for the first time? Like, does it kill the art completely? I don't know.
A lot of Full House fans, I guess, listen to Squaring Around. They're like, oh man, I got the box set at home. How am I gonna
Who's the scumbag in Full House?
Bill Cosby? Or not Full House. What's it? The Cosby
The
Show?
Cosby Show?
The scumbag in Full House.
I was like, you guys really don't like Bob Saget. That's, I mean,
Never mind.
okay.
My bad. I totally messed that up.
That's, I was like,
A lot of Bill Cosby Show
John
fans.
Stamos comes out as a Republican over the weekend, and Jacob's like, cut him off, cut him. I'm like, wow, leftist
Is he
Jake.
actually a
Okay,
Republican?
yeah,
Greek
spoke at
guy?
Mar-a-Lago.
Greek immigrant guy. I never would
John
have seen it
Stamos?
coming.
Yeah, yeah. I like John Stamos. It's a real shame. But talking about a weird
Greek,
week.
or is that? I guess that was just his character, Jesse Kastopoulos. That's his name in Full House. What's his actual nationality, ethnicity?
What are you? The ice? Like
The
what's going on?
ice. The ice.
The ice. I don't know. Strange guy.
Do you think they'll let us in for practice over the summer? Or we're gonna have to talk about Broadway
No.
into the summer?
I will do a Kevin Spacey movie every day they don't let us into practice.
Get ready, Texas State.
I'll read a review of a Kevin Spacey movie.
Yeah.
That would be crazy. You don't let me into practice, so I'm watching abusers. You happy now?
What else is Kevin Spacey even in? House of Cards.
Usual Suspects. Let's do this. American Beauty. He's in 7. Margin Call. So you're not gonna watch A Bug's Life?
He's in that?
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah, no, there's like a bunch of movies that he's in. So
Elvis and Nixon. What the hell kind of movie is that?
here's a movie he was in that he should have paid closer attention to, Consenting Adults.
That's true.
That's a good joke.
I'm just looking at all these like movies that like did not get. He's in a lot of these like mid movies.
Yeah. Well, that's every actor.
He's in Goldmember? No way. Bug's Life. No way. He's Hopper? Wow. Man, Hopper was a piece of
He plays a bad guy.
We should have known it then, man. We should have known it then.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for squaring, everybody.
That was funny.
We don't need no badges. I don't have to show you any stinking badges.
Better not come any closer.
Thanks for listening. New episodes out every Thursday. Follow the boys on Twitter. Eat 'em up. Eat 'em up.